All right, let's take a little trip down memory lane, shall we? We're going to dive into those hilarious, chaotic, and let's be honest, totally relatable stories that basically define growing up. We're talking everything from weird teachers to neighborhood legends, all those blurry memories that somehow make up the sharpest parts of who we are today.
Oh man, we all had one, right? You know the type. That one teacher who just walked around with this permanent storm cloud over their head, perpetually annoyed with the entire universe, and it always seemed, especially with you. You could just see it on their face from a mile away.
And this definition just nails it, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that specific brand of chaos they brought into our lives. They'd wander in, like 10 minutes late, no big deal for them. But you can bet they were going to steal your break time to make up for it. And God forbid you made a sound. A water bottle dropping to the floor was basically a declaration of war. It was their classroom, their rules, and definitely their mood swings.
So first up, let's explore that whole universe that existed inside the school walls. Because beyond the teachers, the students themselves were a whole cast of unforgettable characters. And you know where this really came out to play? On the glorious battlefield we all called Sports Day.
Come on, you have to admit you were one of these three. Don't even lie. First, you've got the super hyped champion, the one who's already tasting victory before the race even starts. Then there's the reluctant participant, probably wondering why they even bothered to bring a school bag. And my personal favorite, the daydreamer, lost in this whole cinematic fantasy of winning it all, tearing their shirt off, and revealing a secret 10-pack to their crush.
But beyond all the big events and the drama, for a lot of us, the daily reality of school was, just trying to fly under the radar. This feeling of being invisible, of being the classroom dustbin that no one really noticed, it's a surprisingly common part of the whole school experience.
Okay, so now, let's see what happens when all this chaos breaks free from the classroom walls. Because school activities, trips, and celebrations, oh boy, they had their own special flavor of absolute pandemonium. School celebrations were just a goldmine of unintentional comedy. I mean, take this unforgettable Christmas event. The teacher they roped into playing Santa was squeezed into a costume so tight that, let's just say the jingle bells on the suit weren't the only things jingling. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, beats the pure drama of a school bus trip. It was just a rolling metal can of pure, unadulterated chaos. And this next story illustrates that point perfectly. So picture this. It unfolds like a mini-play. Step 1. A kid gets an itch or who knows what and spits out the window onto some random biker. Step 2. The biker gets, understandably angry and forces the entire school bus to pull over. Step 3. The big moment of truth. He checks his helmet camera for the evidence. And then step 4. The twist. The picture isn't blurry. The kid himself just looks blurry. You cannot make this stuff up. Okay, shifting gears from school for a minute. Let's not forget that the drama at home had its own very unique flavor. Once that school bell rang, you weren't done for the day. You were just entering a totally different kind of battlefield. For so many of us, the arrival of 10th grade was like a seismic event. Life went from being pretty fun and relaxed to this intense pressure cooker, basically overnight. It was as if our parents suddenly woke up from a 9-year-long nap and remembered, oh wait, we have a child and they need to get into a good college. And with this new intense focus came some very specific and often hilarious parental advice. Forget your hobbies, forget your friends, and for goodness sake, please stop sticking Barbie labels on your forehead. It's time to get serious, apparently. But even the pressure of exams, it just paled in comparison to this specific kind of horror. You're in your most comfortable state, right? Lounging around in your underwear, eating a simple bowl of dal rice, and then, bam. An army of 10 relatives descends upon your house with absolutely no warning. There is no escape. And of course, we have to talk about siblings. What's so great about this is the twist. You hear the first part of the story. My quiet younger brother was often bullied by seniors, and you feel bad for him, right? Aw, poor guy. And then you get the second part. I was that senior. That's family for you in a nutshell. All right, finally, let's step outside the house and into the unsupervised Wild West that was the neighborhood. This is where the rules got even stranger, and this is where the true legends were born. This just perfectly sums up the massive gap between what our parents thought was happening and what was actually going on. So from a mom's perspective, she looks out the window, sees kids playing with an old tire, and thinks, how sweet and resourceful they can play with anything. The reality, of course, that tire was from their own car. Every neighborhood had them. Those 1 or 2 kids who were just on a completely different level. They weren't just your friends. They were local folklore.
So let me introduce you to Monu and Babu, the undisputed champions of the Beyblade arena.
And the descriptions of these guys are just perfect. They always looked a little dusty, kind of like they'd just been wrestling a sack of cement. Their hair had that very distinct, very potent smell of mustard oil. The look was so unique you could easily imagine them being cast as demons in a South Indian action film. It's just so specific and so real.
So, what do all these chaotic, hilarious, and sometimes downright strange stories really add up to? What's the thread that connects the cranky sir, the blurry kid on the camera, and the neighborhood legends?
Well, it's all right there in the metaphor. Just like that kid on the helmet cam, our memories of growing up aren't always crystal clear, are they? They're a little bit fuzzy, a little bit chaotic, and beautifully imperfect. And you know what? That blurriness is exactly what makes them feel so real.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. We don't really remember the perfectly planned days or the quiet, orderly moments nearly as much. What we remember is the chaos, the laughter, the awkwardness. Those are the stories that actually stick, the ones that, even now, still make us smile.
So, maybe the real lesson in all of this is to cherish that chaos. It's the source of all our best stories. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What's that one wonderfully chaotic, blurry memory from your past that still makes you laugh out loud?